Hello there, and welcome to Space Race Expo. We have a wonderful lineup of ships on display today. Are you in the market or just browsing today? Just browsing? Well, I think you're certainly going to enjoy your browse. We've pulled some very unique classics for this expo, and I think you're really going to enjoy getting to see them up close and personal. Some of the ones that we have in our exhibit today, you really don't get to see all that often, so it's going to be a real treat. Have you been to one of our expos before? You have. Okay, so you know that we take great care in selecting the vintage ships that we put on display in our expos. Can I ask which of our previous expos you attended? Our most recent one? Okay, well in that case, you're definitely going to enjoy today's expo because we have an entirely new lineup on display today. There are no repeats from our previous expo, so you're going to get a whole new walkthrough today. So, would you like to just mosey on through the ships yourself, or would you like me to take you on a guided tour and maybe tell you a little bit more about some of the ships? You'd like to go on the guided tour? That's what you did last time and you really enjoyed it? Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and start going through the ships? Why don't we start with kind of a really fun one. It's one of my favorites because it's kind of unique. Let's just head over to that one. Now, this fascinating pyramidal ship behind me is a fully restored Gould warship. Yes, you don't see these very often on Earth. That's why we were so lucky to get this in our lineup today. Essentially, this is a flying vehicle, a mobile fortress, and even its own landing platform. So it's kind of the all-in-one spaceship model. It features large central engines at the base with plenty of power to get you anywhere in the stars that you need to go. And one of the really cool features is the top is actually a retractable sunroof. Yes, retractable as in it actually opens right up. So, if you land on a nice sunny desert planet, it's just perfect for opening up and soaking in those beautiful rays on a gorgeous day. Yeah, it really is a unique feature. And inside the ship, there is a attractive watchtower area with plenty of comfort and room for relaxing. And it also doubles as the central command center, so you don't have to leave your luxury to fly your ship. If you're looking for a little bit of luxury while you're flying the stars, there is a very generous bathing area, all the comforts of your home planet right in your spaceship, so you can stay clean and, it's just very relaxing after a long day of pillaging to just sink into a nice warm bathtub and let the day's battles melt away. Now, this ship also contains storage and launch ports for one-man fighter ships, affectionately known as death gliders. It also features transportation rings so that you can transport down to any nearby planets that are in range. Yes, you can transport people or objects from any nearby planets to or from, so it's very handy if you don't actually want to have to land or shuttle down or anything like that. And probably the best feature of all, which I've saved for last, is inside this ship there is a regeneration sarcophagus. Yes, 100% fully functional regeneration. Even if you have been briefly dead, this can regenerate you and bring you back to life. So, definitely increases your lifespan. So, you'll be able to use this ship for centuries of flying throughout the stars. So, yeah, this was very popular with long lived aliens that were intent on taking over the galaxy. You need to live a long time to do that. So, but again, very unique, very cool design aesthetically and functionally, because you don't get that many ships that are going to bring you back to life. So, go ahead and take that in for a little bit, and we'll head on to the next ship, okay? Now, this attractive little lady is a Ravager M-Class ship, which provides a nice balance of speed and mobility without sacrificing any of the comforts of home. Yeah, this ship, it's not quite as old as some of our other ones, but it is definitely a classic, so maybe not old enough yet to be called vintage, but certainly old enough to be called a classic, so we have included it in our lineup. So it features a roomy flight deck, a cozy common area, kitchen, living quarters, sleeping bunks, and a very spacious cargo hold for, if you're into, well, shall we say, smuggling, which we of course don't condone, but there is plenty of room for that. Anything like that, or if you take a lot of random jobs and you need a lot of space to transport things, make a nice freight ship, things like that. So that cargo bay is pretty handy to have, nice and roomy. And this is a really great ship for interstellar travel. It has all the speed necessary. It handles well, and it's very good at handling the added strain that is put on a hull during interstellar travel. And as I mentioned before, it has wonderful mobility, provided by 6 adjustable wings and 4 movable rear boosters. Yes, it's such a handy feature, and it just really gives this ship next level mobility. So if you need to be whipping in and around planets and asteroids in tight places, this ship is never going to let you down. And if you run into any troubles on your voyage, this ship's twin-mounted plasma cannons should get you out of most jams pretty quickly. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool ship. So, go ahead and enjoy that, and we'll move on to the next one. Now, for people looking for a fighter ship, but kind of on the lower budget end, this is a great ship that meets that criteria. This is a space superiority fighter, known as a TIE fighter. And the TIE fighters are great. And the TIE fighters were great short-range ships. If you're flying through planetary airspace or open space, they offer pretty good mobility. They're great at dodging incoming lasers, things like that. But their shape does make them a little bit of a hazard in tight places. So if you're going into some place with some, very narrow spaces, you're probably going to want a slightly thinner ship, something with a little bit more maneuverability. Again, these are pretty good in open space, dodging lasers, things like that. But when you get into those really tight corners, there were quite a few of these that were lost around such tight places. But again, great short-range open space fighter, great at dodging, everything like that. It has 2 ion engines, which give it really great speed for its size. You don't see the kind of speed that this ship will give you in this size that often, so really excellent. And the wings are a fascinating feature. They're not just wings, they are also solar collectors. Yes, they collect the solar. They're basically solar panel wings, so they collect the solar power, which allows for a continuous power feed. Yeah, you can feed that right into the guns or, wherever you want that collected solar power to go. So it's a fascinating, very well designed little ship. Now, one of the drawbacks is that there is no hyperdrive in this ship. Again, it's a short-range ship, kind of small, bare bones. It's mostly just, made for its job and not much else. So if you want to go any kind of long distances, you are going to have to connect with a larger ship that has a hyperdrive. Oh yes, any ship with a standard landing bay, you can just land this ship, just fly it right in there and land it in there. You can land on the wings if necessary. They will support landing and setting on. Yeah, like I say, it's a very well designed, very practically designed ship, so yeah. How many of these were produced? Well, that, I guess, would be another drawback, is that they were, in fact, mass-produced. So there are quite a few of these. So while it is still very, very cool and vintage, it's not exactly rare. So it's not going to be one of the more rare ships that you might find here. You do see these a lot. And I suppose another drawback is it does have pretty weak shields, so this is more of a fighting ship as opposed to a defending ship. And it does lack a life support system, so the pilot will have to bring their own independent life system to fly the ship. So those were some of the drawbacks, and again, not as rare as some of the other ships we have here because it was mass-produced by a galactic empire, and they really wanted to cut costs on these ships and just use them for short-range battles. And most of the crew, I hate to say, were expendable, but it does seem like the empire kind of considered them expendable. So yeah, a few drawbacks, but again, a very classic ship, very cool design. And one of the more attainable ships because, since there were so many of them produced, they are on the lower cost side of ships, of classic vintage ships. As far as classic vintage ships go, this is one of the easier ones to get your hands on. So, okay, well, why don't we head on down to the next one. If you're into classic aesthetics of ships, I think you're going to absolutely love this one, so why don't we just head right this way. Now this is definitely vintage and definitely one of the most classic ship designs when it comes to classic ships. This is a standard flying saucer. Yes, despite being such a classic design, you actually don't find that many of these available. Most of them were not very strongly constructed, and they were often difficult to manage flying. So there were a lot of crashes and explosions, and the hulls did not take impact well, so a lot of asteroid collisions and things like that. So despite being one of the most recognizable classic spaceship designs, you really don't find that many of these available anymore, just because they are difficult to come by given how easily destroyed they were. Now, that being said, the reason why this one is still around is because this particular model was designed much better than most flying saucers were. This one has a very solid reinforced hull, which is nearly impermeable. You can laser this thing, you can hammer on it till your face is blue, whatever. You're going to have a very hard time cutting through the hull of this ship. Asteroid collisions are no problem, crash landings, what have you. This is a very solidly built saucer, part of the reason why it is still available. We don't actually know what model this is. There are no markings on the ship at all, so it makes it very difficult to tell what model it is without speaking to the original owners and we have yet to find the original owners. So, yeah, we just call it the flying saucer, but again, we know that this model is constructed far better than most flying saucers. It has a cool feature where the door is actually right here in the front. You can't see it because the door is totally invisible until it opens. There's no way for anyone to get into it unless you specifically open it, or the owner specifically opens it, either from the inside or the outside. And it is biosensitive, so it can be programmed to automatically open for a specific person to walk in or out, just open for them and them alone, which makes it a very secure flying saucer as well. And it's a perfect ship for what I'll call park and explore missions. You just kind of land on a planet and, go around and explore things. It's small enough that it doesn't necessarily have to attract attention if you're careful in your landing, things like that. And given the small size, it's nice for just, planet hopping or something like that. Certainly not the fastest ship in the galaxy. It tops out at around 4,000 miles an hour when you're within a planet's atmosphere, though it is considerably faster once you get out of the planet's atmosphere, but still there's no warp drive or hyperdrive or anything like that, so not one of the fastest ships, but it'll still move you along at a pretty decent clip. It'll definitely get you from planet A to planet B in a reasonable amount of time. And you wouldn't expect it on a ship this simplistic, but there is also a regeneration chamber in this ship as well. Yes, much like the one on the Gould warship, though not nearly as advanced. This one is a temporary regeneration chamber, so it's not quite as spectacular as the one on the Gould warship. But for a craft this small and vintage, it's a pretty spectacular perk to have. So if you're looking for total regeneration, you'd probably want the Gould sarcophagus, but in this case, if you're just looking for, temporary regeneration, coming back to life for, a short amount of time, or, regenerating from standard cuts and scratches, things like that, this regeneration pod will definitely get the job done. And as I say, just kind of a nice little perk on a ship this small and kind of a simple ship. So go ahead and enjoy that. And there's one more that I want to show you on your little guided tour here, and I think you're going to find this one quite fascinating. It's a very unique shape, so much like the pyramidal design of the Gould warship, you don't see many of those, and you don't see many of this particular shape of ship outside of this culture. So why don't we head down and check that out, okay? Alright, follow me. Now, this fascinating looking cube behind me is a Borg ship. Are you familiar at all with the Borg culture? You've heard of them? Yes, correct. They are the hive mind culture, yes. And they have such an interesting ship design. As you would expect, it is completely practical in the way that they use it. Everything is built for practicality, not for aesthetics, given the type of culture that they are. But from our point of view, out here, outside of the hive mind, it has to be said the aesthetics are pretty cool of this particular ship. And Borg cubes are very well defended and great for offensive as well. So this is a great ship for if you're planning to do any conquesting or a lot of interstellar fighting. This is an excellent ship for all of that. Now, a pretty cool feature of this ship that you don't see in many ships is that this one features a decentralized system. What I mean by that Well, that means that there is no bridge. There is no one place on this ship where the operating system is concentrated. It's backed up over the entire cube, so large portions of this ship can be destroyed, and it'll keep running because there is no one central command hub in this ship. It's all over the ship. It's all backed up all over the cube, so that makes it a very difficult ship to destroy. You've never heard of that before? Yeah, it's not a real common feature, so it's another really cool thing about the Borg cubes. And another excellent feature, which again goes great for conquesting or interstellar fighting, is that this ship is capable of self-repair. Yeah, so not, I guess not total self-repair. It does require little nanobots to repair it, but it is an automatic process. You know, the nanobots are part of the ship basically, and they'll just come out and repair everything. They can even repair the ship while the ship is at warp, so you can keep traveling and not have to worry about the repairs. You don't have to stop at any kind of a port or station to get the repairs. You can just let it repair itself on the go, and you don't even have to program the repairs. It's intuitive. The ship knows how to repair itself. It directs the nanobots to repair it, and it can repair it very rapidly as well. So it's a very handy feature. Makes it, again, a great ship for if you're going to be going in anywhere that you're going to be seeing any kind of battle or damage, anything like that. So, very handy feature on this ship. Now, it does feature tractor beams. Tractor beams are always a classic, of course. And, you know, per usual, you can tow or drag something with you from this ship. But one of the nicest features of the tractor beam on this ship is that it drains the shields of anything that it's being held by. So it's a great way to just hold the ship in the tractor beam while the shields are draining and just hurl all the firepower of the ship at it, because the ship can't leave the tractor beam. So it doesn't make you invincible, but to anyone in the ship that's being held by the tractor beam, you're certainly going to seem invincible. No, any ship being held by the tractor beam cannot just warp out. It's a very powerful tractor beam, so holding a ship in the tractor beam will prevent the ship from warping as well. So again, they are pretty much at your mercy, so it can be a great negotiating technique as well if you're interested in something that they have on their ship. You know, hold them in place, threaten to destroy them if they don't beam over what you want, you know, things like that, which of course we don't recommend. And speaking of firepower, this fascinating cube is equipped with a high-intensity laser that is capable of cutting through the hulls of almost any other ship you'll find in the galaxy. Not all. I don't want to say all, because I'm sure that there are a few that it can't cut through, but the large majority of ships that you're going to come across in the galaxy, the laser on the ship is going to be able to cut right through the hulls. So, handy little feature. And for your own defenses, the ship contains adaptable shields. What are adaptable shields? Adaptable shields means that the shields will adapt to anything that is thrown at it. Right, exactly. So, you know, if there's a certain type of laser or torpedo or cannon, whatever, after just a few shots, the ship is going to, you know, read the energy makeup of that, and the shields are going to adapt so that that particular type of firepower will no longer work against this ship. So pretty much anyone who attacks you is going to need to destroy you within the first 2 or 3 shots. Otherwise, your ship is going to adapt. And again, due to the non-central system in the ship, they can take some pretty good shots out of you, and the ship is going to keep right on operating, and then the nanobots will, of course, self-repair. So it is, as I say, just one of the greatest ships to take in a fight if you want to. So, and as far as auxiliary transports, it does hold a number of short-range spheres. Yes, spherical ships. They're great for scouting or short-range transportation or as escape pods, things like that. Yes, of course, they contain most of the tech from the original mothership cube. Oh yes, they're even capable of time travel, the little spheres, yes. So very, very high-tech little short-range sphere shuttles. And right in the heart of the ship is a spatial trajector. That is, it's kind of like a less powerful Stargate. It's great for beaming someone or something right out of the ship. It'll get you, about halfway across the galaxy, so not as powerful as a Stargate, obviously, but still, if you can go half a galaxy in a matter of seconds, that's a pretty good jump. So certainly enough to get you away from any danger or anything like that. So again, a very cool ship, very well built, extremely practical function wise. So if you ever decide that you need a conquest ship for something, this is definitely one you should look into. So well, these were the ships I wanted to show you. Feel free to continue browsing around. All of our pilots here have done a great job of restoring and buffing their ships to make them look their best. So go ahead and take a look around, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the expo. Thank you for coming in today.